Hello everyone, Richard Phillips back at you with some more Modern action, and today we have a monstrosity in front of us. This is Modern Tezzerator. I was sent this deck list by someone who goes by the name WishD5 on Magic Online. I was playing Black-White Gideons against them in a league, and they crushed me with a version of this deck. And I thought it was really cool, so I messaged them and said, hey, would you be willing to send me your list? And they said yes, so here we are with version of the list. The big innovation that WishD5 created for this list was the ability, or the choice to just win through Stony Silence or Rest in Peace. Most of the older Tezzerator decks would lose to Rest in Peace and Stony Silence, and you have to play green sideboard cards in order to destroy those. This deck just tries to win through hate. So if your opponent wants to play cards like Stony Silence, you just say, okay, we'll just win through it. And I think that that's a really cool innovation of the deck. I'm not saying it's better, but I think the innovation of it is really cool. So before I break down the deck, just want to remind everyone, please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my content. I'm trying to approach some of the goals that YouTube sets aside for content creators. So if you would subscribe to the channel, you can get notifications of all my new content, which I'm hoping to ramp up in the next couple of weeks. Alright, so with that aside, let's talk about this deck a little bit. So this deck is built around the card Tezzeret, Agent of Bolas, and its -1 ability in general, which is that it allows it to turn random artifacts into 5/5s. So you can play like a Mox Opal and turn it into a 5/5. So that's the one axis of attack, is just hitting your opponent with 5/5 artifacts. Second axis of attack is the Thopter Foundry, Sword of the Meek combo. I've played this combo before. You can search back in my YouTube videos to find the deck that I played a couple weeks ago that included this combo. Those are kind of our two main win conditions. Third win condition would be Jace the Mind Sculptor's ultimate. And fourth win condition is the one of Creeping Tar Pit we have in the sideboard. So those are kind of the ways that we can actually win the game. And what's really cool is that this one, and this one still can work through Stony Silence, which is one of the reasons why I really enjoy this version of the deck. Overall, what this deck is a toolbox deck. It relies on the card Whir of Invention, which is basically a Court of Calling, only for artifacts. And we have a bunch of sweet targets for that in the main deck as well as in the side. In the main, it can get us our Thopter Foundry Sword of the Meek combo, which is really cool. It can also get us a Codex Shredder, which can then rebuy other cards from our graveyard, so we can theoretically create a loop of whirring every turn. It's a very convoluted loop, but we have a bunch of different toolboxes in the deck. So we have Whir of Invention, we can get Codex Shredder, we can get our one main deck Relic, we can get Engineered Explosives for 0 to blow up tokens, Welding Jar to regenerate something. And what sets this deck apart from other decks is the Ensnaring Bridge. It's not built on the card Ensnaring Bridge, but it actually is very integral to a lot of the strategy against a lot of decks that we're playing against. It does have a bunch of main deck disruption and fatal pushes and battle at the bridges, but the Ensnaring Bridge is able to lock out a lot of opponents' decks. It's not trying to play a bunch of Ensnaring Bridge, and you really don't want to draw the bridge. You want to whir for it, usually after emptying your hand of like Pentad Prisms and stuff like that. You want to get everything on the board and then get the Ensnaring Bridge down, because Ensnaring Bridge is significantly worse if you have a bunch of cards in hand. In order to protect the Ensnaring Bridge, we have Welding Jars, and then we also have our Academy Ruins to put it back on top of our library if our opponent destroys it. So we're basically looking to recycle the same bridge over and over again, not play a bunch of extra bridges and have our hand get really clunky. We also have a Search for Azcanta, which is going to allow us to search through our deck and gain us some card advantage and control mirrors and things like that. It's very good against a lot of decks. We have one main deck Sorcerous Spyglass to turn off some stuff that could be problematic to us, and we can also proactively use it because we get to look at our opponent's hand to see what we need to play around. So that's cool. We also have some Inquisition Thoughtseize effects to take cards out of our opponent's hand that could beat us before we can set up. We're basically looking to play pretty, not a super long game, in a very long game. It gives our opponent too many draw steps to find outs, but we want to play like a medium long game. We want to exhaust our opponent's initial assault and then set up the Thopter Foundry combo, and once we can do that, it's very hard for our opponent to win. It only takes us a couple of turns to win. Out of the sideboard, out of the lands, we have 5 basics, We have 2 Field of Ruin, 6 fetches, 1 red fetchable land, 2 black fetchable lands, dual lands there. And then we have 5 utility lands. We got the Inventors Fair, which gains us a little bit of life and allows us to search for either the bridge or something else that we're missing. The Citadel is an indestructible Whir target that we can turn into a 5/5 with Tezzeret. The Tar Pit for just beatdowns. The Tolaria West we can transmute for any of these lands, any of these other utility lands. Also our Engineered Explosives, our Welding Jar, or our Opal. Whirring for Opal is really weird, though. There's not very many situations where that comes up. Academy Ruins lets us recycle the Thopter Foundry combo, which is cool. And we play 21 lands plus 4 Pentad Prisms and 2 Talismans. So we have a lot of mana sources in the deck. Moving on to our sideboard here, we have one more piece of interaction for like the humans matchup or even burn, because this can gain us some life. The improvise and the life gain on this is really important. Before, the list I was sent had Collective Brutality in it, and actually we don't care about too many instants and sorceries our opponent has in their deck. We just want to destroy things and gain life, and we were able to do that more with Battle of the Bridge. So the Thoughtseize effect of it, like usually when we're Thoughtseizing our opponent, we're taking either like planeswalkers or artifacts or creatures. We're very rarely taking instants or sorceries. There's not too many that we care about, because we can play through counter spells very easily, or discard effects. So Battle at the Bridge is actually better in a lot of cases than Collective Brutality. We have Nihil Spellbomb, which is a different card name to note than Relic of Progenitus. So it's cool that if our opponent tries to shut down our Relic, we can whir for the Nihil Spellbomb postboard if our opponent's playing like Dredge or something like that. Sorcerous Spyglass to shut off artifact abilities again. I like having 2. We can name 2 different planeswalkers. Sun Droplet for the burn matchup. I'm trying that out today. Also humans. Fast aggressive strategies can sometimes get under us, so if we can only whir for 2 at the time and maybe get a Sun Droplet, gain back a couple of life, and then eventually whir for 3, we might be able to get there. A Witchbane Orb can give us hexproof, which is important in burn matchups, as well as some other combo strategies. One of the cool things we can bring out of the board in a grindier matchup is the Crucible of Worlds and Ghost Quarter. If we can get both of these, we can continuously Ghost Quarter our opponent over and over again. We can also use the Crucible to just gate value out of the other lands. So like we can cycle Tolaria West and then play Tolaria West in the same turn, which is kind of cool. Inventors Fair becomes a recyclable. Over and over again, we can find an artifact each turn, which is cool. One of the reasons why we're playing the Red Splash is for these Crumble to Dusts. Historically, one of the poorest matchups of this deck is the Tron deck, because the Tron deck doesn't really care about a bridge lock, and our win conditions are really, really slow. So by playing that Red Splash, we're able to play 3 Crumble to Dusts, which are excellent in that matchup, and hopefully we get to showcase that a little bit. Izzet Staticasters for the aggressive matchups and the token strategies. It's also really good if our opponent is trying to play the same combo as us. We can hold them off with the Izzet Staticaster and hopefully win a different way. By Force is for, honestly, the Mirror and Affinity decks, and it's just a very strong effect that I thought we should have access to. It's probably boarded in the least of all these cards and maybe should be replaced, but I was able to get out of a mono blue Tron lock with by Force and a couple other things that went right for me. So after that happened, I felt like I needed to keep it in. And now we have Herald of Anguish. This card is our alternate win condition, which we'll board in if we think our opponent has access to Stony Silence. And opponents very rarely expect this. We'll bring it in pretty much any grindy or control matchup also. Most of the time, our opponent will take out removal, and this can end games on its own. It's easy to cast in this deck. We can usually cast a turn 3 or 4, and we can kill our opponent's creatures with it, and we can start making our opponent discard. So our opponent will become empty-handed real quick, and it's a 4-turn clock. So with that, guys, we'll run into a competitive league. I'm going to put all this in one video this time because I wanted to run this through a whole league for you guys. Let me know if you prefer that format over the other in the comments, and I'll see you guys in round 1. Alright guys, welcome to round 1. One thing that I have to be a little bit mindful of is that this deck takes forever to win, so sometimes I will have to play very quickly. Alright, this hand has 4 lands, which is probably 1 more than we want, but it can actually play a turn 3 Tezzeret, attack for 5, and has interaction too, so we'll definitely keep this hand. This is what we sign up for when we play this deck. This is incredibly resistant to Blood Moon also. I'll start off with our tap land here, and pass the turn. See what our opponent's playing here. Maybe Merfolk? Interesting. I'm always intrigued by a Mutavault. I guess we'll just play... You usually want to get the islands first. The swamps are actually significantly worse than the islands in this matchup because of Whir. I was thinking of cutting another swamp, actually. So we're going to go ahead and get the Pentad Prism down. See if our opponent plays a creature. Okay, so it does look like they might be Merfolk here, maybe? I don't know, playing turn 1... Oh, it's Eldrazi. Oh, interesting. Okay. So I don't know what's happening here. Okay. So our opponent's just going to go ahead and get in for 2, which is fine. Huh. Alright, so we have an interesting decision here. We can do a couple of different things. One thing that we can do is we can play the Tezzeret, downtick on the Pentad Prism, and then attack, and just try to race our opponent. Our opponent would have to spend the whole next turn using the Mutavault to kill the Tezzeret, but then we're kind of not really left over with anything. Another thing we can do is we can play the Tezzeret and plus the Tezzeret, and that'll take our opponent out of the ability to attack it. Huh. That's a more conservative play, but I think I like that. So we're going to go ahead and we want to get the islands out of our deck first, so we'll go ahead and get an island here. Especially if we're going to be searching our deck. It's not like a super big deal, but okay. So, and I think we will just go ahead and tick it up, and we'll get a Talisman. Okay, so that's at least a little bit of something that we'll have left over after the Tezzeret dies. So I like this. If our opponent plays an Eldrazi next turn, we can battle at the bridge it, and then also get in with a Tezzeret. So all of these things are pretty good. Hopefully they don't have Eldrazi Temple. I don't think they would, because they would have played it last turn. Okay. Alright, so they attack down the Tezzeret to 2, and they're going to move to discard. So they kept a sketchy hand. See what they want to discard here. Okay, Reality Smasher. Alright, so for our part here, I think we just want to lay it on our opponent here, I think. We're just going to go ahead, because if our opponent wants to spend their whole next turn attacking Tezzeret now, I think we're good with that. So we will play the Swamp, and we want to get down the Talisman, and we'll use the mana off of the Pentad Prism, but we just want to get as many of these things online as possible. So we're going to go black, blue, colorless, get the Creeping Tar Pit going, and turn this Pentad Prism into a 5/5, and we'll attack our opponent. If our opponent wants to spend their whole next turn attacking down the Tezzeret, that's fine. If not, if they want to cast a creature, we'll battle at the bridge it, and then get in with the Talisman and the Pentad Prism, I think is our plan. Alright, and they just concede. Alright, cool. So, we know our opponent is on Eldrazi. We don't really know much else other than that. On the draw, I don't know if that changes anything. We know that they have Reality Smasher. Excuse me. And Reality Smasher is not going to be very easy for this deck to beat, to be perfectly honest. I guess we want the other Battle at the Bridge, because that can actually take out Eldrazi pretty effectively. Engineered Explosives doesn't seem too great. The Relic doesn't matter, I don't think, at all in this matchup. The Inquisitions are probably not the best. They can't take a lot of the stuff that we're worried about, so maybe we can cut... I don't know if we can cut all of them, but maybe we'll cut 2 of them, I guess. And we can bring in our Ghost Quarter. We just want another land, I think. We can bring in the Crucible. I can see a situation where we want to be Crucibling our opponent. And maybe like a single Crumble. I don't think we're too worried about Crumble, but we want to be able to get rid of like their Mutavaults and stuff like that. Maybe we want a second one of them. I don't know. And then also, like, same with Fatal Push. I don't know how good Fatal Push is. It's probably not that great. Maybe we can cut 2 Fatal Push. Bring in the 2 Heralds, because the game will be a little bit grindy. I don't know. We'll try like that, but that could be wrong. Okay, well, this hand can play an early Herald. They can play a turn 2 Talisman, turn 3 Pentad Prism, sort of to make turn 4 Herald. So I guess we keep that, and just hope we draw some things. Okay, I have no clue what our opponent's doing. Alright, Inventors Fair's not the best draw here. So we're going to go ahead and just get this Polluted Delta, and we'll get the blue-red fetch off of it. I think is going to be our plan here. And then next turn we can decide if we want to play Pentad Prism or Talisman. Okay, our opponent's not an Eldrazi deck. Or maybe they are, but I don't know what's going on. Okay, an Eldrazi Mimic. Okay, so we drew the Fatal Push. I think we'll just go ahead and get the regular blue land here. I probably should have just fetched that at the end of the turn. I was just very confused by what our opponent was doing. And it didn't occur to me that I should have been fetching. I mean, I guess it occurred to me, but I don't know. Whatever. Mistakes were made. So if we need red mana later in the game, it's because I screwed up. Alright, our opponent is just attacking with the Mimic. I guess we'll push it. Take 1 damage instead of 2. I don't know. I mean, we're going to use our mana next turn. For most of it, at least. So, go ahead and get it off the table, I guess. Okay, another Mimic. That's fine. Okay, we drew the Thopter Foundry, so we actually just have the Thopter Foundry combo set up for this turn. We'll go ahead and play Inventors Fair, play the Sword of the Meek, and then we'll play the Thopter Foundry. And I think it's going to be hard for our opponent to fight through this. What's cool about this deck is, I mean, you know, I'm saying this very preemptively, but we do get some number of free wins just because we're playing... oh, okay, so our opponent's playing like some sort of aggro. They're getting in with a Reality Smasher here. That's... Oh, no, Thought-Knot's here, rather. Okay, that's kind of cool. They get to take our Herald and attack us for 4, which is pretty good. But next turn, we're going to make 5 1/1s. So... And every turn after. So unless our opponent has... let's see, they have access to red mana in this deck. I don't know what cards they have that would destroy artifacts. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. And also we have the Academy Ruins to set it back up, even if we do. And we will gain 1 life off of the Inventors Fair here, because we control 3 artifacts. So we'll always yield to the Inventors Fair life gain. And we drew a Tezzeret. That's actually pretty good. Do we want to play Tezzeret? Honestly, there's probably not really a downside to just getting everything off the table and making a Pentad Prism blocker here, or something similar. Yeah, let's do that. So let's do Pentad Prism, and then we'll do colorless, and then we'll do blue here. We will take a damage from that, and black, and we'll play the Tezzeret, and minus the Tezzeret on this Pentad Prism, which means that we can still make a 1/1 blocker if we want to, by removing the counter from the Pentad Prism. Or actually, it'll be a 2/3 because it'll sack the Sword of the Meek. Yeah, our opponent's on some sort of like all-in Eldrazi strategy, which is very interesting. I haven't seen anything like this before. But now our hand's immune to Thought-Knot Seers, and they can't attack with the Thought-Knot Seer unless they can somehow remove the Pentad Prism. Okay, yeah, and our opponent just concedes. They know we got the lock here. We have a blocker this turn that they can't beat. So great, we're on to round number 2. You see the power there of just... we didn't even have to use the Ensnaring Bridge, but just the early Tezzeret is very strong against a lot of strategies. 5/5s are hard to beat in Modern. Alright, guys, welcome to round 2. Alright, what's this hand do? This hand needs lands. It needs like 2 lands in a row. If we were on the draw, I would consider keeping this, but I don't think we can on the play. Alright, this hand's a lot better. It's very weak to Blood Moon, though. Fatal Push is something that I think we're in the market for. We don't really have any interaction otherwise. I'm going to go ahead and shock in this Watery Grave and play the Relic of Progenitus. It's probably better that we get it on the table than not. The 2 life might be relevant, but we can't say that for sure. Next turn, we're probably going to play the Search for Azcanta. Oh, another Eldrazi deck. So we're just playing like mono Eldrazi decks today. Another Eldrazi Mimic deck. This is so... Did some like, did this just spike an event or something like that? Like, I'm so confused why people are playing that card. Maybe we don't want to... Huh. Okay, so I think what we have to do here is we're gonna shock in this Watery Grave and pass the turn. The plan is that if our opponent has another Eldrazi Temple and plays Thought-Knot Seer, we can sacrifice the Relic of Progenitus and then Fatal Push the Thought-Knot Seer. Yeah, I don't know what this... I honestly have no clue what's going on with these red... Maybe it's just that red-green Eldrazi deck, and we've just seen, like, the strangest draws from it. Alright, so we'll go ahead and we'll save our opponent some time here by Fatal Pushing the Mimic, and then just popping the Relic and passing the turn. Maybe we could have done that in the other order because of our search for Azcanta, so maybe that was incorrect sequencing on my part, but I don't know, I'm pretty happy with it. Alright, we drew Pentad Prism, which is a pretty good draw. That would allow us to play both Search for Azcanta and Sorcerous Spyglass. I don't know if the Spyglass really does all that much in this matchup, so I think... Well, our opponent could have Thought-Knot Seer. Or not Thought-Knot Seer. Yeah, Thought-Knot Seer. Alright, so black, blue... That means we can play Pentad Prism, then we have 3 counters on that, and then we can play Search for Azcanta with 1 counter left on the Pentad Prism for next turn. Yeah, I don't hate that, actually. That would allow us to cast both of these spells. So even if we draw a brick, we would be able to still cast both of these spells. If we drew like a bigger, more expensive spell. If we drew a land, then this play... I guess also wasn't the worst, because then we would have been able to cast all our spells anyway. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm very unfamiliar with what our opponent's trying to do. Something must have just happened with this deck. You guys will probably laugh at me and be like, oh, this is, a relatively established deck. I don't know. Wastes, mountain, looting. Yeah, I'm very confused. Alright. Yeah, there's the Mutavault. Alright, so this deck must be popular. I don't think it's the same person. Yeah, Thought-Knot Seer? Okay. We need a Whir to get the bridge. Yeah, they took the Foundry. They don't care about this Sorcerous Spyglass. Alright, what do we have on top? Inventors Fair. Do we want that? No, I don't think we want that. We'll put that in the graveyard. Alright, we drew a Pentad Prism. I guess we'll just go ahead and get them both down. There's nothing in our main deck that's going to cost more than 5 mana. Or 4 mana, and nothing in our deck that... requires... Oh, okay, so it's just the red-green Eldrazi deck, and we've seen, like, the strangest draws. Maybe there's, like, a mono-red version of it now. Alright, this just has haste, right? So we're going to be taking 7-10 next turn. So I guess we'll just name Mutavault. So we're going to name Mutavault here. And then... maybe I should have named Ramunap Ruins. I probably should have. I probably should have named Ramunap Ruins because our out is drawing Whir of Invention anyway. So I think that might have been a punt by me. I don't know. We'll see. We're taking 3, 7, 10. I don't know how many... Okay, so yeah, we're taking 10. Well, I guess... So that means that they still need another desert... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was fine, but we need Whir here. I don't think we can really survive if we don't draw Whir. All right, Whir or Bridge? Come on. Yes, Thoughtseize in the graveyard. Oh, we drew Whir. Excellent. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and we will main deck or main phase it. And we'll go ahead and get Bridge. Excellent. All right, so now our opponent can take us to 1. So we are going to need to win the game before they can find a second Ramunap Ruins. Field of Ruin. Is that better than an average card? I mean, it would make them use the Ramunap Ruins now, but I mean, they can do it anyway. It's what, 4 mana and sacrifice it? Yeah, so we'll just put that in the graveyard. And we drew a land that we're not going to be able to crack at any point in this game. So we'll just play it, but we're not going to crack it, because it'll kill us. Okay, and our opponent found a bolt. So, alright, concede the game. Alright, so we need a double lock. We need the Witchbane Orb plus Ensnaring Bridge in order to completely lock our opponent out. Okay, so we'll bring those in. I don't think we want to be on the Crumble plan. I think we just want to be on like the Bridge from Below plan and possibly block with Herald of Torments. Again, Izzet Staticaster probably is okay against the Eldrazi Mimics, but I don't want to bring in something just because it's good against Eldrazi Mimic. Take out that Relic. The Codex Shredder, I think, is going to be too slow. That whole plan of using that is really slow. The Inquisition's probably fine, actually, now that we know kind of what our opponent's doing. What else? I think Engineered Explode. I mean, we can only really do it on 1 or 2. It's meant for more like quick aggro decks or like, you know, mana dorks or something like that. It's not really effective at what this game here is trying to do. The Spyglass probably isn't the best. I mean, I guess naming Ramunap Ruins isn't super effective, so we'll cut that, I guess, and submit. Alright. And we will play first. Wow, this hand. It doesn't do anything, so we're going to mulligan it. Oh boy. This is the kind of hand that you get in this deck a lot, and it makes you real sad. I think we have to go to 5. Yeah, we have to go to 4. This is not how I wanted this to go. We got to bottom that. We need to draw very, very well on this 4. Our opponent kept a 7. We'll go ahead and get a Watery Grave here. Inquisition our opponent. They got multiple hollow ones. That's kind of cool. All right, yeah, I have no clue what's happening with what our opponent's deck, but it's really cool. All right, so our opponent played Mountain and passed. At least we have a lot of time. I guess that's the good thing here. All right, we drew a Field of Ruin, which is, you know, better. Alright, they're going to use their Ramunap Ruins here. They'll play the Ratchet Bomb, I guess. That's fine. Alright, we drew a Fatal Push, which isn't very good. If we draw one more land, we can at least use it. Alright, they use the Ratchet Bomb, they use the Cavern of Souls. So we know they have 2 hollowed ones in their hand. If they flashback looting, they still can't cast the hollowed ones, so that's cool. They just have... Wow. Okay, so they drew another looting. That's just a real good draw for them. So we got to beat 2 hollowed ones, which means we have to draw land... land and Snaring Bridge off the top. Like, exactly in that order, I think, too. And then we have to draw... We have to draw, like, land and Snaring Bridge, and then... the Welding Jar to regenerate them. Okay, well, we drew the land, so that's a step in the right direction. Trying to think here. So we have a couple options here. One is that we can hold up the ability to Field of Ruin something, and then Fatal Push if our opponent plays that, or we can just get the Thopter Foundry down. I guess we want to get the Thopter Foundry down, because the Thopter Foundry can at least make a 1/1 that will block at some point. So I guess that's our plan now, is to do that. Okay, Matter Reshaper's fine. I think we just take this one, because if we draw the Thopter Sword, it's okay for us. And we drew Herald of Anguish. I think that just means we're dead. We're taking... Yeah, I think at this point that we don't really have an out. Sure. Okay, our opponent puts a charge counter on the Ratchet Bomb. We need our opponent to, like, somehow, like, blow the Ratchet Bomb here, and then not play another creature, and then... Yeah, okay, we're just dead. If this is a Reality Smasher, we're just dead. They mistapped. There we go. Okay. Our opponent figured it out. And we will concede to Smasher. Yep. Alright. Hopefully we'll have better luck round 3. If you mulligan to 4, that's what happens. Alright, guys. Welcome to round 3. We've won the dice roll. Alright. Well, this hand has mana and has interaction. So I guess we keep it and just hope to draw something. I mean, we're not going to mulligan a hand that has, you know, 3 lands or 5 spell or 5... Yeah. Sorry, 4 lands, 3 spells. I mean, one of them is a mana accelerant, but I mean, we're going to keep it. Our opponent's mulliganing into Oblivion. They kept a 4. So I think we just go ahead and Thoughtseize them. Alright, 1 land, double Kitchen Finks. It looks like they're that Ponza deck. I mean, I guess we just take a Finks. We have a lot of trouble killing Finkses with this deck, so, I mean, we just take one, I guess. Alright, they play the forest that we knew about and pass the turn. We'll just go ahead and get the pit down. That's fine. We're not in any rush here. Okay, our opponent did find a land. Good for our opponent. Next turn we can Battle at the Bridge something for 1. Oh, a Tarmogoyf. Wow. Alright, that's pretty good. Alright, we drew a Pentad Prism, which is actually a very good draw. That means that we can go Talisman into Pentad Prism, and then next turn we can cast a very large Battle at the Bridge. Man, and our opponent found Kitchen Finks here. Alright. Alright, we drew Thopter Foundry, which is a good draw. So, what we need to figure out here is how many... So we need to do it for X is 5. Right now we can do it for X is 6. If we play a land, we can do it for X is 7. So that means that we can actually play the Thopter Foundry here and still Battle at the Bridge this. So we want to do it for 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 right now. There's no sorcery in the graveyard, so we actually will need to do it by 1 more than that in order for the Tarmogoyf to still die. So we'll just go ahead and add another blue to it. That'll be 5 mana, so we'll do that. And that'll kill it. Okay, cool. Our opponent's 1 mana away from their Stormbreath Dragon. They've actually drawn very well, considering. Alright, we drew a Search for Azcanta, which is a very good draw here. We're going to go ahead and play the Steam Vents tapped. and play the Search for Azcanta, I guess. Yeah, it seems pretty good. And we have the ability to create some chump blockers with our Thopter Foundry to make sure that we're still alive. We can use the Pentad Prism. Wow. Okay, so our opponent found another land. Alright, it's probably worth creating a 1-1 here to stop the 4-4. So that means we're going down to 13. Or 14, rather. Sorry. Alright, so we'll block the Stormbreath Dragon. Put Jace into the graveyard. No, I think we'd like to draw the Jace. No. Okay. So then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll play the Jace. And then we will... So I guess we can draw some cards here and hope to hit something that matters, because then we can use the Search for Azcanta to put some bad things. We can also uptick it on our opponent to make sure they don't draw more gas, and then we can chump the Stormbreath Dragon with the Talisman. And then Brainstorm next turn. Yeah, maybe I like that, actually. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll take a look at our opponents. They have a Windswept Heath. No, they can keep that. Okay. So now our plan is to chump the Stormbreath Dragon again, and then hopefully draw something that matters. Okay, both at them. So we will go ahead and sacrifice the Talisman. Block the Stormbreath Dragon. Alright. Thoughtseize, yes, we'll put that in the graveyard. We definitely don't want to draw that. Another Talisman's not great, but I mean, I guess it could be worse. Alright, this time we will 0 the Jace. Alright, we drew Fatal Push and Battle at the Bridge. Both of these are excellent draws. We will put back... I guess we don't really need the Fatal Push here. Yeah, I guess we don't really need the Fatal Push here. So we don't need Fatal Push, and we don't need Field of Ruin. We'll put it back in that order. So then we'll go ahead and play the Talisman, which we can chump the Kitchen Finks again for, or I guess, no, because we played it, we can't do that, Alright, so I guess if we use this Battle at the Bridge, then that just means our Jace is dead. But I guess our Jace is dead either way, unless we want to sacrifice both to the Thopter. So maybe I misplayed this a little bit. So we have options here of Chump, which would keep our Jace alive one more turn. Or we can just kill the Stormbreath Dragon here, and then we can flip the Search for Azcanta and hope to find Bridge or Whir. Oh, I guess alternately we can... Yeah, if we kill the Finks, it just comes back. Okay, so we'll just Battle at the Bridge this. Yeah, I think I like that. Alright. So we'll go ahead and kill that. Well, our Jace will die. Okay, but our opponent drew Bloodbraid anyway. So yeah, regardless how we were going to play this, our Bloodbraid, or our Jace was still going down. Alright, so now we can't Whir, which isn't ideal, and we can't use our Search for Azcanta. So it looks like our opponent's going to probably beat us here, which is unfortunate. Alright, yes, put Field of Ruin in the graveyard. No, and we drew Fatal. We're drawing Fatal Push here, which is unfortunate. Yeah, we don't want to transform it. Okay. So we got a Fatal Push. We can sacrifice the Talisman to itself to block, and then we can push the Bloodbraid Elf. But I don't think we want to do that quite yet, so we'll take the hit this time. Thopter Foundry, another one, can go into the graveyard. Don't transform. Alright, we found an island, so that means Whir is now a live draw for us. So if we don't have to chump here, we're going to be in okay position, I guess, if we can find a Whir. Okay, so we definitely need to find the Whir now. We can go ahead and push the Tarmogoyf now, because that's actually dealing the most damage. Codex Shredder. Does Codex Shredder let us live? So we can, for 1 mana, play it, and then for 5 mana, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, get back. So it's going to be 6 mana, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can battle at the bridge for 1, which isn't enough. So we will put that in the graveyard. No transform, and we drew a Delta, which just killed us. No, well, we can sacrifice the Talisman, but that means that we actually just have to draw. Yeah, that means we actually have to draw either Sword of the Meek or the other. Okay, and Bloodbraid Elf, I believe, seals the deal. That means that we're taking. No, we have. All right, so we can still. I guess we can still win if we draw exactly bridge off the top, because we need to go ahead and sack the Talisman and then sack the Thopter Foundry and then block here and here. Alright, so we need to draw exactly bridge here. Get 2 looks at it. Yeah, to the graveyard. No. And Thopter Foundry. And then this one's too late. Okay, so we'll concede. Man, our opponent beat us on a mulligan to 4. That's real unfortunate. Okay. So, in this matchup, we definitely want the Crucible. We want as many lands as possible because our opponent is playing graveyard-based decks. Or, decks that... Or strategies that'll destroy our lands. There we go. They might not be on the Panza theme. They might just be on the creature theme, because we didn't see any Stone Rains out of them. But we also didn't really see any cards that would indicate that they're only on the creatures, because all the cards that they did play were cards that you'd see in both versions. Alright, so what do we want to cut? Or maybe... They usually play birds and... So maybe playing Izzet Staticaster isn't the worst, because I think we do have a lot of dead cards here. The Relic doesn't really matter. I think that the Codex Shredder is also not really a great plan. Spyglass doesn't shut down mana abilities, but it can shut down Arbor Elf. I don't know if we want to keep a card in just because it shuts down Arbor Elf. Like, I could see us cutting that. And then, I guess we do want the other bridge, right? Yeah, so maybe we'll bring in 1 Staticaster and cut something that's like kind of expensive, like maybe cut a Tezzeret, because we're not really super focused on the Tezzeret beatdown plan. I guess maybe we'll try that. And this hand's great. Yeah, we'll keep this hand. This hand has interaction, can fetch basics, and has Crucible of Worlds, so seems great to me. Alright, we're going to play the Polluted Delta and pass the turn so we can get a swamp if we need to. We're not going to fetch here, we're just going to pass the turn. Alright, Darksteel Citadel is not the worst, it's actually indestructible, so that's really cool. One of the keys to beating Panza strategies, especially if they have Simian Spearcat or something like that, is just to play fetch lands. Okay, Ooze. Ooze is a great card for us to go ahead and push. I think we want to get a Watery Grave here, even though we know that our opponent has Blood Moons in their deck. We still want to get the triple blue for Whir of Invention if they just don't happen to have that. Alright, we drew a Watery Grave, which isn't a great draw here. I think here we're just going to get basic Island with this one. So Island, and play a Ghost Quarter, I guess, and then get down the Crucible. So our opponent will need to destroy the Crucible. I guess if our opponent has Blood Moon here, it would have been, it's real bad that we fetched that Watery Grave. Yeah. Yeah, I think I might have punted there. Yeah, so we need to find an island here. Yeah, and now we don't have Swamp either. We just have neither. Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, that was probably a big mistake on my part. Because if we would have had either Swamp or Island, we'd be in better shape than not having either. Yeah. Yeah, Academy Ruins doesn't really do anything. We'll just play the Delta out of here. Yeah, I think I definitely punted here. Yeah. We don't even really have that many more draw steps. We have 2. I guess one of the best draws would be like Pentad Prism even. But yeah, if we would have had double blue, we could have gotten the Jace online. Yeah, that was real bad. I don't know why. I don't know. For some reason, I thought that we would have more time with those before they played Blood Moon, but that was not the case at all. So I think I just punted this away pretty good. Yep, Tezzeret, that's it. Alright. Concede. Alright, guys, welcome to round number 4 after a couple of unfortunate hands in a row. This one's also not great. We really need that second land, but I think we're going to keep it. If we draw a land in our first 2 turns, it's still a very good hand, and it's a third. I'm not really sure exactly what the math is, but it doesn't appear. I don't think it's awful that we're going to miss on 2 land drops in a row. Alright, our opponent has Inquisition, Dark Confidant, Tarmogoyf. So we'll just take the Inquisition. It's another Jund deck, which honestly isn't the best matchup. We want control, and we basically just want non-Kolaghan's command decks. Alright, so our opponent plays the Mire and passes. If we miss a land here, it'll be bad. Okay, so we didn't miss a land, which is actually great. We got a little lucky there. But we get to play the Talisman here. And then when our opponent plays the Bob, push that off a cliff. And then untap and play Thopter Foundry. And if we draw another land, play Pentad Prism and Thopter Foundry. So that's real good for us. Alright, so our opponent played that, and they played their Swamp. Alright, drawing another Thopter Foundry isn't great. But we can go ahead and yeah, I think I like actually getting down the Pentad Prism here because our hand is really really redundant to Thoughtseize here. Or especially yeah, so I mean they'll take the Whir here. But that definitely could have been worse. Alright, so Stomping Ground, and then they'll play the Goyf. Okay, that's fine. Alright, we drew Inventors Fair, which is a fine draw here. Black, blue. Play the Thopter Foundry, and pass the turn. Alright, so we're taking 4 here, but then we are going up to 11. Alright, we drew another Pentad Prism, which isn't great. I think we just want to get the other Foundry on the table, and that way we can sack one to chump at some point. We could even get the other Pentad Prism on the table, but I don't know, maybe that's a little aggressive. So we'll just do that for now. Pass the turn. We just need to draw something off the top. I mean, Jun's kind of got us where they want us to. I think here we're just gonna take 4. We're not in the business of doing this in open mana. If our opponent wants to tap get the Raging Ravine going, but we still have a couple of turns here, barring some sort of nutty play from our opponent. Okay, our opponent bolts us. That's fine. Okay, and then in response to, I guess, the second bolt, we'll go ahead and sack a Thopter Foundry to itself. That'll take us to 4, and then this will take us up 1 more. Alright, cool. We drew Whir, which is a great draw. If we blue black here, this will actually build us up 1 more mana for the Whir, so we'll do that and pass the turn. Alright, so our opponent is getting in with both. So now we just need to do a little bit of math here. We'll wait till our opponent attacks so we don't get bolted. Alright, so we can Whir for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then still sack the first one and chump both. Yeah, okay, so we'll do, so this is blue, 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 I guess we're 1 short mana this way, but we're also taking 1 less damage, so I think that's fine. So we'll do that. We'll get the Sword of the Meek, and then we will tap that. Sack the Sword of the Meek. Get that. Sack the Sword of the Meek. Good, okay. And then we'll just go ahead and chump a couple. Gain another life. Alright, cool. We drew a land, which is good. And then we can attack our opponent for 2 here. And then there's not really any downside to getting us out of double bolt range. So I guess we'll do that now. Alright, cool. So now we're out of double bolt range. And then we can make 3 more still. Okay, that's fine. We'll go ahead and get an island here. Alright, and then we'll just go block, block. Go up again. Alright, cool, we drew another land. Go ahead and get that now. We'll get another island. We can attack our opponent here. And I think our opponent's dead here. They're still playing it out. Okay. Once again, wait until combat because we want to play around Maelstrom Pulse. Alright, and then we'll move to blocks here. Let's go ahead and do that. Alright, and then we'll... keep going with this combo. Sorry guys, this combo is not the most pretty thing in the whole world, but it works. Alright, cool. And we also drew Battle at the Bridge. So we can get in for 9 here, and then just one more time, and our opponent will be dead. Alright, cool. And that's it. So our opponent, I guess, was looking for Kolaghan's Command, which is, I mean, it's very good against our deck. So we want the Battle of the Bridge because our opponent has, you know, all kinds of good cards. I don't know exactly how much value we can accrue off of Crucible, but it's probably like a non-zero amount. So maybe that's good. I don't know. Not super worried about the Witchbane Orb. I think the Heralds might be pretty good. Our opponent usually boards out a lot of their removal, and Herald Tormod's really good against that. It blocks almost all of their creatures very profitably. Sorcerous Spyglass, I don't think I like. I don't want to just shut off one of their lands with it. I don't think that's exactly where we want to be in this matchup. I guess it does turn off Scavenging Ooze, so maybe we do want it. Yeah, Scavenging Ooze is a good shut off. I like trimming Inquisition Thoughtseize effects in this matchup. So maybe we'll go down to... because our life total does matter a lot in this matchup. I don't know if I want to go down all of them. Maybe leave 2 in. Well, maybe not. Maybe we do want to go down all of them. Explosives on 2 is always really awkward. I think maybe we'll cut the explosives. Explosives is in more for tokens than it is for getting things on 1 or 2. Because if we try to put it on 2, then we can't run our combo. So it's not great in this matchup. All right, so we'll just submit like that. Okay, so this hand, what does this hand do? This hand has Tolaria West and double Thopter Foundry. Our opponent kept 7. Is this hand good enough to beat a 7-card hand from our opponent? It doesn't really have mana to Whir. If our opponent has... I don't know. What would you guys do with this hand? Keep or mull? I think I'm going to keep it, but it's probably not the best. Okay, we drew a Talisman, which isn't an amazing draw, but it's not bad. We'll go ahead and... actually, no, it is pretty good, actually. No, I lied. Sorry, it's really good. All right, we're going to get the Polluted Delta here, and then we're going to get blue-black land out of it. And hopefully push their Bob or something like that, and then play a Talisman, and then our hand will be quote-unquote Thoughtseize proof. Alright, cool. So we'll go ahead and get blue-black here. Blue-black. Yes. Do that. Push the Bob off a cliff. Pass the turn. Drew Steam Vents, which isn't a great draw. I guess we'll play it, though, because we want to have the ability to have Whir up next turn. If we draw it, we want to just be able to Whir. We are taking a lot of points of damage here, though. Okay, goif. That's fine. Alright, we got a Spyglass, which is good. We can actually cast Spyglass and Thopter Foundry this turn. So we'll go ahead and get the Inventors Fair down so we can start gaining a little bit of life here. And we'll start with the Sorcerous Spyglass, see what our opponent's got. Got a K command and some lands. So, what do we want to name? Naming Verdant Catacombs isn't very appealing to me. I think we just name Scavenging Ooze. And then we'll go blue-black with Thopter Foundry. If our opponent wants to Kolaghan's Command, they might rebuy their Dark Confidant. Oh, wow, they found a Raging Ravine for the turn. That's a real good draw for them. They might Kolaghan's Command here to destroy the Thopter Foundry and make us discard. Oh, and return the... Okay, so we're fine with that. That's good. The first Kolaghan's Command down without really too much damage. Of course, here, this is where I wish we had engineered explosives to transmute this Tolaria West to go get. Of course it works out that way. So what are some cards we can get with the Tolaria West? We could get... we can get a 0 mana artifact or another land. We already have one of the lands in hand. We can get... yeah, honestly, there's not too much that we can get that we're super interested in. All right, so we can go blue for Search for Azcanta here, and then we can go blue-black for Thopter Foundry here, and then play the Tolaria West. Yeah, I think I like that. Yeah, because we took out our engineered explosives, which would have been a very good find with the with it there. All right, so we want to look at the top card of our library. Creeping Tar Pit. Yeah, we'll put that in the graveyard. I'm not too interested in the Creeping Tar Pit. Oh, we drew Battle of the Bridge. That's a great draw. All right, so now we need to figure out what card we want to kill more. If we want to kill the Dark Confidant because of its card advantage engine, or if we want to... So we know they still have Swamp, Verdant Catacombs in hand, so that we know 2 of their 3 cards. They've used that already. I think we just want to kill the Dark Confidant and gain a bunch of life here. So we're going to go black, this, boom, 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 boom. 7. Alright, so we gain 7 life, which puts us way back out. It's almost like a whole turn of attacks. Alright, so now they use the Swamp. Okay, and a Nihil Spellbomb, which, I mean, it's not a great draw for our opponent, but it's not the worst. Alright, they're going to get the Raging Ravine going. We'll set an upkeep stop here, I guess. What we can do is use the Inventors Fair to go get our bridge, and then not cast it this turn. But we would be able to flip the Search for Azcanta. Or we can get our... Okay, so we have a couple options. We can use this Inventors Fair. We have 5 mana outside of the Inventors Fair. So we can... Tezzeret. What does Tezzeret do? I guess Tezzeret blocks a Raging Ravine and puts us down to 1. I don't know if Tezzeret's good enough here. I guess Tezzeret also just lets us search for something, but then we have to, like, chump block, and I'm not really sure how much I'm a fan of that. And it does trade with the Raging Ravine, though. Alright, we'll say no. Gain a life here. Alright, so we draw the Tezzeret. This will buy us a bit of time. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we're going to turn the Sorcerous Spyglass into a 5/5. And we still have the ability to sacrifice the Talisman for another chump blocker if we need it. Alright, so we know our opponent still has this Verdant Catacombs in hand, so we know one of their cards. They might just cash in this Nihil Spellbomb now. Another thing we can do is we can pile block the Tarmogoyf, depending on what our opponent does here. We can create a 1/1 and then double block the Tarmogoyf. Oh, now we can just block the Tarmogoyf because it's only a 4/5. That's kind of cool. Okay. So we'll see how our opponent wants to attack here, but it's only a 4/5 Goyf now. Okay. Are we fine? Alright, so it's attacking the Tez. Do we want to just throw 1/1 in front of it, or do we want to trade with it? I also don't know that answer to that question either. Either way, this Goyf's going to become a 5/6 next turn. Or do we just want to let the Tez die? It's still going to become a 5/6. I think I like sacking the Talisman here. The reason for that... Oh, no, they have an artifact in their graveyard. Okay, never mind. The reason for that here is because if we make 2 5/5s, their attacks get a lot worse than if we just had 1 5/5. Alright, looking for Whir or a Sword of the Meek. Because we also don't gain a life this way. So I don't know. We can't search for our thing using the Inventors Fair now. So maybe that was wrong. If we draw an artifact, which we can off of the Tez or off of the Inventors Fair. Yeah, we have another decision next turn, which is this turn here, which is do we want to plus the Tez or do we want to minus the Tez? And I'm not really sure I have an answer to that either. Alright, guys, and we're back after a real brief pause there. Alright, so Whir of Invention on top sounds great. So we'll not put that in our graveyard, and we'll just draw it for the turn. We'll go ahead and use it now before our opponent can do something like make us discard it or, you know, something like that. Sounds good. Go ahead and get our sword here. We also still have the Academy Ruin, so even if our opponent destroys it, we can get it back. Sword of the Meek here. And then we can... we can sack the sword here to it. Okay, our opponent might have Surgical. Okay, yep, they have Surgical. That's fine. Huh, so we definitely didn't play around Surgical very well based on what was going on with our hand. Because it's pretty easy to protect the sword from Surgical if you have more mana up. Yeah, maybe that just wasn't played very well. I don't know. Alright. We will just make the make it a 5/5 flyer, though. Our opponent's going to have a lot of trouble with that. And I think we can start getting in there now. We'll actually just kind of race our opponent here. Because next turn we can make the Thopter Foundry a 5/5, so if our opponent can't kill us or kill the Tez here... Oh, they have a Liliana. That's a good draw. Okay. Alright, game on. We'll sack the 5/5 here. The tapped one. Because our opponent can't attack with the... Oh, they can attack with the Raging Ravine now. Okay. Alright, we'll see who they want to attack. Man, that was a good series of draws from our opponent. Alright, they're attacking... Attacking the Tez. Yeah, I mean, we're just taking... The Tez is dead. So, Tez dead. Alright, now we gotta draw again. Thopter Foundry, yeah, we'll put that in the graveyard. And we drew a Swamp, which is a bad draw. Wow. Man, I thought we were in a real good position here. Wow. Alright, well, I guess we kill the Lily here. And now we're just kind of chumping here. So we'll go ahead and sack the Thopter Foundry to itself. And block the Raging Ravine. At least we get to flip the search for Azcanta here. Yep, we'll put Welding Jar in the graveyard, flip the search. Draw a Flooded Strand, which is a bad draw. Play that, I guess. And use these 3 and activate the Azcanta. Oh, good. We drew a Fatal Push. That's excellent. Okay. Trying to think if there's any way that we can race our opponent here. That might actually be what we have to do here. If our opponent fires up the Raging Ravine, so we can't beat Bloodbraid, we can't beat Kolaghan's Command, we can't beat... I guess we can beat Bolt currently, but I don't think Bolt's in our opponent's deck. And it would have to be only if they played it main phase. So I guess we just have to kind of race our opponent here and hope we get a little lucky. Yep, okay. So our opponent goes to 6. So now they're going to fire up the Raging Ravine. We'll push the Ravine, go to 1. And then we still got to find something off the top, and we got to hope our opponent doesn't find anything off the top. We're going to make our opponent attack so they can't use the mana. And we'll push the Ravine, go to 1. Field of Ruin. Okay, well that's not helpful anymore. And then I guess we go ahead... So something I guess we could have done is we could have put the Foundry on top to guarantee that we had a chump blocker. I don't know if that was better, though, than what we did. So now we'll activate the Azcanta here. Alright, great. We drew another Fatal Push. So we will any order these, and then we'll push our opponent's Goyf, and then attack here, and make our opponent find something here. Alright, sweet, we got there. Wow, that was super swingy. I'm not sure if I played that correctly, but we were able to get there in the end. So, awesome, and that's the power of Search for Azcanta there. Alright, so we're going to look to cash this league here in round 3. Alright guys, welcome back to the 5th and final match. We won the dice roll. This hand is great. We'll keep it. It has Talisman. It can cast double black and double blue spells after turn 2, assuming we don't get Thoughtseized, which, I mean, I guess our opponent would have to have 2 Thoughtseizes to do. We can take our opponent's early interaction. Hopefully they're not on Tron. Oh, we got another... Oh, wow. Ooh, I don't know what's going on. They have a Valakut in their deck. It's like a Valakut deck that does other things. Yeah, I have no clue what's going on. I guess we take their Sakura Tribe Elder. It's like they have a backup plan of scape shifting someone. Our opponent's deck is super cool, because I think we can definitely beat Goyf. Abrupt Decay is not great, but I think we can beat it. Maybe we can't beat Abrupt Decay. Maybe we have to take that. I don't want to take that, though. Yeah, I guess we have to take Abrupt Decay. They can't cast it currently, but we can't really beat the card, so... Yeah. Alright, so our opponent has... Alright, they play their Cinder Glade. Pass. Alright, we drew Steam Vents, which isn't a great draw. We'll go ahead and play our Talisman. Yeah, maybe we should have taken the Steve. We'll see what they want to prioritize, if they want to play Goyf or Steve here. Okay, they do play Steve. Alright, we'll go ahead, we'll get down the Thopter Foundry. And we'll play Tap Steam Vents. And we need to draw something here. Alright, so we know our opponent has Goyf, Bolt, Valakut. Alright, we did not know that they had that. Alright, another Steve. Maybe they... I mean, I guess we can try to Thoughtseize them again. Oh, and the Goyf, okay. Alright, we drew a Whir, which is good. That means we can get our combo here. So I guess we'll do that and pass. What's also a little scary is that our opponent is actually getting really close to being able to just Valakut for value. Alright, so let's see. If we Whir here, we can Whir for 1, 2... So we can make 1 chump blocker, which is probably worthwhile. So we'll go ahead and do that. If our opponent wants to use the Bolt to disrupt that, that's fine. But this will actually gain us 4 life overall. So we'll go ahead and get the... Sorry, I should make this bigger for you guys when you're trying to watch it. We'll get the Sword of the Meek here. And we will sack the Sword of the Meek here. Alright, and that puts us up to 19, which is good. Okay, if our opponent wants to bolt that, that's fine. Sweet. Okay, cool. And we will like it to enter the battlefield, so we are only taking 3 off the Goyf. There's a big difference against Valakut decks of 7 lands versus 8 lands. Ooh, and we drew a Tezzeret too. Wow. Okay. So here we can put a pretty sizable clock on our opponent if we want to. And... I think we do want to. We don't know any cards on our opponent's deck. Yeah, seems good to me. Get in at our opponent with a 5/5 here. I guess this hand's... yeah, maybe I misplayed this a little bit. This is really weak if our opponent has exactly Scapeshift in hand. Yeah, wow, I might have really misplayed this. If our opponent already has Scapeshift, this can be real bad. Let's see if they cast Scapeshift here. No? Okay, that's good. Attack us or the Tez? Attack the Tez. Alright, we will sack the Sword of the Meek, block the Tez. Yeah, because yeah, if we would have not played the Tez, we would have been in good shape to escape shift here. So our opponent has escape shift, that's just a punt. Nope, okay, our opponent does not have escape shift. That's great. Alright, we will begin by Inquisitioning our opponent to see what's going on. Okay, double Forest. Alright, that's great. We can... I guess we'll just go ahead and tick up the Tez. There's no reason to make another 5/5 here. Alright, we whiff, which is fine. That happens sometimes with this deck. And we'll just get in at our opponent with the Tez, or with the Talisman. Okay, our opponent Bloodbraid Elves. It's a good draw for them. Bolt, it's also a good draw for them. Or a good hit for them. Not sure it's going to matter. I mean, I guess we're still dead to Scape Shift, so maybe? Maybe it was? I don't know. Alright, so we know our opponent has a Forest in hand still. Our opponent's thinking if they want to attack or not. It's probably correct for them to attack with the Goyf. Well, actually, I guess it doesn't really matter. So we can... We have 10 power. So if our opponent attacks with both, we're just going to take it. Because we have 10 power of attackers. Yeah, okay. So we can make 4 1/1s with the Thopter. It becomes... Yeah, so that's fine. And we know our opponent just has Forest in hand. So we're just taking this. That's fine. Alright, cool. So then we're going to go ahead and sack this. So we should be able to win this game here. Alright, cool. So then we'll pass the turn. We drew Citadel, which we don't want to show our opponent. And there we go. Alright, so, interesting from our opponent. We know that our opponent has a Black Splash because they had that Abrupt Decay there. But I don't know what kind of hate they would have for artifacts. So the worst is Shatterstorm. I was playing against a mono green deck earlier, and they had Creeping Corrosion, and that was not, that was not fun. All right, so once again, cards that are bad. This Engineered Explosives hasn't impressed me at all. The original list didn't have any EEs, and I was like, well, EE's kind of free, but not really with this deck, because we play so many 2s. And we also play 3s. All right, so our opponent hasn't seen Ensnaring Bridge. They do win by attacking, and with Bloodbraid and stuff, so it's probably worth leaving in. I think the Witchbane Orb is probably good. If we crumble our opponent, they can't win with the Valakut, so maybe bringing in like 2 crumbles is fine, but I don't want to overboard the crumbles. I like having lands in this matchup. Maybe the battles aren't where we want to be. The relics don't seem very good. Our opponent isn't doing anything involving their graveyard. Same with the Sorcerous Spyglass. I didn't see anything that was real interesting with that. And then I think that just the Codex Shredder lock is just too slow. So I think we'll go like that and submit. Alright, well this hand is full of colorless mana. It has the Thopter Sword combo. We need to draw 1 more land, and then even then it's really slow. Wow. Alright, so this hand is great if we know that we're going to draw either a Talisman or a colored source in our top 2. Or if our opponent has a slow draw. Yeah, because our opponent mulligan, I think we're just going to keep this. If we draw any land, we can turn 3 Field of Ruin into Fatal Push. Okay, so our opponent is on the search for tomorrow. Our opponent's deck is so cool. Alright. We'll just begin with our Field of Ruin and pass the turn. I doubt our opponent's playing Blood Moon. If our opponent's playing Blood Moon in their Valakut deck, then, that's good for them. Okay, Steve. Okay, so they are on just a slower, like, Valakut type. Alright, and we drew... Of course, we drew the Pentad Prism. We'll go ahead and get the Sword of the Meek. Okay, our opponent found a swamp. It's good to know about. Yeah, maybe this hand was just too slow. I think if we can draw, we need 3 blue mana for the Whir, but we might be able to do something if we can Whir. Yeah, see, our opponent also has Goyfs, so I don't really know. It's cool. Our opponent's deck is really cool. I'll have to give him that. So I think what we want to do here is we are going to want to get blue and black mana. Yeah, blue and black mana, I believe. Huh. No, I think we want to get blue mana with this one. We want to preserve our life total if at all possible. Then get rid of the Stomping Ground. Get a Swamp, and then push a Goyf. Okay. Okay. Our opponent's going to slaughter games. They'll probably name Thopter Foundry, which is fine. I mean, it's one of the cool things about this deck, right, is that we have multiple win conditions. We're not reliant on the Thopter Foundry combo. If our opponent's bringing in slaughter games, yeah, okay, so they take Thopter Foundry. That's fine, but it's interesting that our opponent... Wait, what happened? Did they not take all of them? They didn't take the one in hand. Yeah, they didn't take the one that we had in... Alright, well, you know... I guess if our opponent wants to... You know... Sure. I'm not really sure why I played that Pentad Prism, actually. I guess we should have just gotten down the Thopter Foundry, but that's alright. We're not in danger of dying right now. Our opponent missed their land drop there, just like we did, but that's okay. Okay, so our opponent has one card in hand. It very easily could be Scape Shift. If it's Scape Shift, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so they would need land, Scape Shift, and we're dead. So because of that, do we want to hold the Whir for... Yeah, I guess we do. Alright, so if we do blue... Yeah, okay, so if we do blue, black... If we do blue, black for Foundry, then we can Ghost Quarter and a Swamp to get an island. And then we can Whir for... Oh boy, alright, hold on here. Okay, so we got... So if we cast the Foundry... Then we have a Foundry here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 that we can tap. Yeah, okay, so we can do it. So if our opponent... We're going to take 4 from the Goyf. If our opponent Scape Shifts us, we can Whir for the Witchbane Orb in response. So we'll take this 4. And if our opponent goes land, Scape Shift, we can still Whir for Witchbane Orb, and then win with Thopters. Okay, they play a Goyf, which is not... It's good for us. Alright, cool. And then end step. Okay, so now we will go ahead and sack the sword. Make a 1/1. Yes. Sack the sword. Make a 1/1. Yes. And then there's no reason to use the Pentad Prism counters. We get to draw or gain a life off the Inventors Fair. We have a bridge now. This is good. Okay. So we'll go ahead and we'll start to clock our opponent a little bit. We're just going to get in with the 1 Thopter in case something goes horribly wrong here. I still want to play around Scape Shift, so that I want to keep this Whir up, so that if our opponent goes into the Scape Shift, we can still win. Ooh, Harsh Mentor is a good draw for them. Okay. So I guess if they go land... Huh. Yeah, that was a good draw by them. Alright, so we'll go ahead and we will sack the sword. Go up. That's fine. And this one, sack the sword. Yep. And this, sack the sword. Is this non-mana abilities? Yeah, okay. Alright, cool. So the way that we've set this up now, we can still cord, or we can still Whir for Scape Shift, even if our opponent has land Scape Shift as their last 2 cards. All right, and I think we'll just throw 1 Thopter in front of 1. There's no reason to over chump here. One, two, three, 4. Okay. So we will okay. So we'll let our opponent scape shift us, get their lands. And then we'll whir for our yeah, okay, so we can still whir. Yeah, so we can do 1, 2, 3. So blue, blue, blue. Blue. Yeah, okay, we're good. Cool. Okay, so our opponent... Yeah, I thought our opponent was 1 off. Yeah, okay. So I guess we might as well cord for it. Yeah, our opponent was 1 off. Blue, 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 I guess. Just do it like that. Is it Harsh Mentor deals 2 damage to that player? So I'm fairly certain that we can play this through the Harsh Mentor. Actually, not sure. Let's just test it, because I don't want to kill the Harsh Mentor if we don't have to. So let's see. We'll go ahead and sack the Sword of the Meek, and we'll see what the Harsh Mentor, if the Harsh Mentor deals less damage or not. Oh, it does. Okay. So we do need to go ahead and Battle of the Bridget. So we'll go ahead and do that. Battle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because all those are free. And we can go ahead and get in with, let's get in with 3 of these, I guess. And we'll play Talisman, I guess, and pass the turn. Okay, our opponent drew a land for the turn, which is good for us. I'm curious how much damage we can do next turn. So we can do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus 5. That's not enough. Okay. So we'll go ahead and we'll make a chump blocker then. Yeah, we'll just chump both. That's fine. Alright, cool. This is getting a little bit elementary here. We will just attack our opponent here with these Thopters, and then next turn win the game, I guess. Without getting the bridge lock in any of the games, I don't think. I don't think we bridge locked our opponent once. I think every time it was the Thopter sword combo. Alright, excellent. And our opponent concedes. Alright, so I guess some closing thoughts. Well, first, let's do the fun thing. First, we'll just go ahead. We'll open our one treasure chest because I don't keep very much on Magic Online anymore because I rent everything. So we'll go ahead and we'll open our one treasure chest and we'll see what's in it. Nothing. We got a clone. All right. So nothing, but we had fun. Alright, so I guess some final thoughts on the deck. You can see that the Ensnaring Bridge part of the deck is not as important as some of the other stuff. We, unfortunately, ran into some bad luck against Eldrazi there. And, because of that, we had to take the L there. But you can see that the deck definitely has some promise. If our opponent's playing Jund colors or, has a bunch of graveyard hate, like the worst card against this deck, or the card that this deck can't beat is... Ancient Grudge. So if our opponent doesn't have Ancient Grudge or something like that, I think we're in pretty good sorts. So make sure you give the video a like, subscription. See if you want more of this, because I can definitely play more of this deck. I enjoy playing this deck a lot. I think there's a lot of puzzles. I think it's very interesting puzzles. It would be nice to see if we could play this against a control deck instead of a bunch of different mid-range decks, because the deck isn't really built to beat mid-range. It beats humans and it beats like control like 90+% of the time, but it has a lot of trouble with the mid-range decks that have cards like Kolaghan's Command. You saw it fight through it a little bit, but that's not where I wanted to be. We didn't get to show off the Herald of Anguish. I'm not sure. So we cast a Witchbane Orb out of the board, and I guess we cast this Battle of the Bridge, but that was it. Like, I think that was literally the only cards. Oh, the Crucible of Worlds that I played real poorly on. Yeah, so everything else was, everything else, was just the main deck, just powering through. So 3-2 record, not great, but not awful. We probably would have been okay if I would have played a little bit better that one game, but, yeah. Alright, see you guys next time with some more Modern action.